me record it. Okay, so this is what the agenda. Selenium hybrid framework designing. How we can design the Selenium hybrid framework with a data-driven. So for that, we are going to have a different components in the framework, and what are the different tools we are using and technologies we are using, and Selenium WebDriver tool we are using, Maven, application under test, AUT means application under test, TestNG framework, Log4j, extend reports, Git and GitHub, Jenkins. So these are all softwares and tools we are using in this Selenium hybrid framework. So any company you go, this is the structure they're going to explain. So you're going to see everywhere same concept. So that's the Selenium hybrid framework you can explain. So they will ask first question, which framework you are using in your company? Can you explain me? So you have to start. So I'm using Selenium hybrid framework in my current company. So can you explain me all the framework structure? So that I'm going to explain you today the framework structure, how to explain what are the, so you can even draw the diagram and explain to them also. That is also one way. So you can have in our labels, you can see hybrid framework. So what is a framework first? So framework is a set of instructions and guidelines. So will be followed, and the code will be arranged in a proper folder structure. Different components will be there in the framework. That is called a framework. So what are the features of a framework or advantage of framework? So you can reuse the code. Maintenance of the code is very easy. It provides the reports. It provides the logs and screenshots. Any non-technical user or any non-technical user or new person joining the team, you can just go through the framework structure and you can easily understand the code. And you can immediately start writing the automation test cases. If already framework is there in your company, wherever you are going. And what are the different type of frameworks are there? Data-driven framework, keyword-driven framework, hybrid framework, and there is one more BDD framework. Another very important BDD framework. So what is this hybrid framework means? So hybrid framework is nothing but a customized framework with a combination of TestNG, data-driven or keyword-driven, and page object model design pattern. That is called hybrid framework. Basically, customization. You can do a lot of customization. You can include many components with this hybrid framework. In this, TestNG is used to design the automation test case. You already know that. So data-driven is used to test the same scenario with multiple sets of data. That I have shown you data-driven, how we are doing with the data provider. I have shown you. Now here I am going to show you. You store the data in the Excel sheet. How you can read that data from Excel sheet to your program, to your data provider annotation, from data provider to your test method, how you can supply. That is what the concept we are going in this framework. I'm covering Excel sheet, how you can read. Excel sheet data, how you can read. That I'm going to show here. Next. So page object model. What is this page object model design pattern? Form. So page object model design pattern is used to design the web elements or to maintain the web page objects or web page elements. That is the page object model design pattern means. What is the advantage? If any page object identification changed, we don't need to modify all the test cases. Test case files you don't need to modify. we can modify only respect to page class. You will separate page classes separate, test cases separately, so that the object identification fails, you can go and modify that page class only. So you don't need to touch the test cases. So that's the advantage of page object model. So you can design the page object model in two ways. So one is plain page object model, and second one is using page factory concept. So plain page object model is you're identifying the element like a public static final by element name equal to by dot locator value. This is the plain page object model concept. So like this, you can identify that page inside all the elements with this concept. And then you will develop the respective methods on these elements. So what action you will do, action methods you will write on those elements. Like I want to click on this element, I'll create a method public void click element. So call driver dot find element. So the element name you pass dot click. That's it. So this is the one method on this element. Like that, all the elements methods you will develop in this same page class. That's a plain page object model concept. Second one is page factory class. Page factory class is another way you can develop the page, your pages. So first in the page class inside, you will create a constructor, and constructor inside you will call the page factory class dot init elements method. And driver comma this keyword you will use. That means this class objects you initialize your same. That's the initialize method, init elements method. And you will use @ find by annotation and locator name, locator value. Then below you will write, okay, this locator belongs to which web element. You will get directly here web element name. So this is the difference between plain page object model and this page factory. Page factory, you will get the directly web element. You don't need to write again driver dot find element. But here you have to write a driver dot find element in your methods. But here you will get directly, see method name inside directly element name dot click you can write. So like this, you will identify all the web elements like this. Then each element you create a respective methods. So this is a page factory concept. There is one more concept in the page factory only. Cache lookup annotation is there. It is used to mark the web elements once located, so that the same instance in the page can also be always be used. Same element you can reuse. Again, it won't go and set in the web page element in the web page HTML code. Otherwise, it will become late, right? It will become some time consuming. Instead of that, if that element once it is identified, next time it will cache that element, and it will immediately do action on that element. It won't go and look into the HTML again and again every time. If you don't put a cache lookup, it will go every time and it will set in the HTML code. But that you do if you want to avoid that. Next time onwards, you don't want to go and set in the HTML, then you can use a cache lookup. So just cache lookup attribute can be used to instruct the init elements method to cache the element once it is located, so that it will not be searched over and over again next time onwards. First time it will search. Next time onwards, it won't search. If you use a cache lookup, it will cache that element. Next time it will perform the action very quickly. That's a cache lookup advantage. So that's all about the introduction of a framework. Now let's see the structure of a framework. What is the structure of a framework? So this is the structure of a framework. So you can have multiple components. So like different components will be there. So different components will be there. And let me show you in detail so that you can understand. I'll draw this. So very detailedly so that you can also get a clear picture on the, okay. So this is the where you have a one layer, that is a base class. Okay. So base class. So this is the base class will be here. Like here you will write, so you can write here in this base class, you can like reading the properties. So you can write driver initialization. You can write here. And you can write at the rate before suit and at the rate after suit. Like this, all the methods you will write here. Okay, so that's what you will do in the base class. Then base class below you have a like pages. So this the pages will be there. So like pages you have right, you have different pages. So like I'll show you the pages, page class. So page class, like there are, you take any web application, that web application, I'm going to show you one website, the LinkedIn website. There we have all the different scenarios I'll explain. So like home page, one class you'll create like this. Login page, one class. Like this, every page one Java class you will create. And then you will create landing page, one class. Then set results page, another class. Like this, you can create a different classes, page classes with a page keyword. You have to end at the end your class name. At the end, you should be page keyword is there. So that's how you can differentiate with other classes, which is a page class, which is the test case class. How you can differentiate? Your page is there, page keyword. Then so you can easily differentiate. It's a page class. Then we have one more configuration file. So there is a one more configuration folder will be there. So configuration folder. So here you can write config.properties file. You can create under this. So this is another one. The next one is, next component is, you have listeners package, listeners component. So listeners basically is used, listeners are used to get the report. So we'll develop the listeners interfaces in the your custom classes. So implemented TestNG listeners. That's the next one. And you can see next component. So we have utilities. So the next one is utilities. So utilities. So utilities means reusable methods, like capture screenshot, Excel utils. So reading the Excel data, Excel utils. And some other utilities you can put in the utilities package. Then we have a next. So component will be a test cases next, right? Test cases. So test cases you can create next. Okay. Next you have a TestNG.xml file. Then you have a form.xml because Maven you are using, right? Form.xml you have. Like this, you have a different components. So this is the TestNG.xml. So then you have a form.xml, right? Form.xml. So then you have so under the then you have a reports, screenshots, reports, screenshots. So our reports. Okay. So like this, you have different components. Sorry, here this is the test cases. This one, just 1 minute. Test cases. That one. What is this? This is the test cases. So like all you will write a test cases like your home test cases. So your TestNG class you will use to write your test case like search test or login test or home page test. Like this, you can write a different test cases. Okay, that's a test cases. Then you can have a so TestNG.xml also. Another one, TestNG.xml. So you have a TestNG.xml. So one folder you can create a TestNG.xml also. So after test cases, a TestNG, all these test cases you have to run, right? That a TestNG.xml we created, you remember? So then we have a form.xml. So form.xml. Like this, you have all the different components. Then we have a, so bottom side we have so now this will be how you can link this. See, you can map this one and this one. So base class will be extended to test cases, the base classes, and also to utility classes. And then, so this will be extended. This will be extended. Same base class will be extended to even for test cases also. Even for test cases also, it will be extended. It will be extended to test cases also. So extend means inheritance concept, right? We are using. So that means this base class you will use here also. So that you don't need to write a driver initialization again and again here. One time only will write there. So this is how entire. Then all the TestNG package, all these test case classes you will mention. So the relation will be here. Then TestNG.xml you will mention in the form.xml, right? That's a relation like this. So this is all no mapping will happen. So this is all the different phases will be there in our development also. This is the called development phase. So this part is called development from here to here. So from here to here, we'll call the development phase. So because you are developing the code and everything, that is called development phase. What you call this phase? So all test cases, base classes, everything you are developing. That's why this is called development phase. So what do you call this? Development phase. So development phase we call this. So then what you call this? So this is the test case execution phase. So this is called test execution phase, we call this. So this is you are doing execution here. So because here you will right click and you will run the test cases, right? That's the execution phase, we call this. So this is the execution phase. So this you call execution phase. Execution phase. These are the three phases will be there. So once you develop the code, then you will put that class in the TestNG.xml, and then you will execute the code, right? Then we have a Git to GitHub. So there is another components will be there. Let me put that. There is a one more component, two more components here. Git and CI/CD pipelines. So this one, what you can do, you can put in the GitHub, your repository. You can put the code in the repository. And here, Jenkins, CI/CD. So this is the code how you can, this is the build. So CI pipeline. So this is the entire your framework structure in the company. Any company you go, this is the framework structure will be there. So this framework structure, everybody will follow this. Any company you go, this is the common concept. So then there is a one more, you can put a reusable methods. You can develop here reusable methods. Maybe here you can write one more class. Reusable methods will be there. So all the action methods, the WebDriver utility methods, you can create all the WebDriver utility methods. So this also will extend. You will extend to base class. You will extend to this action methods, WebDriver action methods. So what is this? WebDriver action methods. So WebDriver action methods. All the methods you can write here. So all the methods you can write your reusable methods. So this is the another component will be there. Like this, your entire framework structure will come into picture. Okay. So this is the structure, and let's go and understand. So we see, I'm telling you the extends keyword, right? Extends keyword. This is the extending. So this base class is extended to test cases. Base class is extended to WebDriver action methods. Base class is extended to page classes and utility classes. Listeners also, even listeners also you can extend. Your base class will be extended to listeners also, because sometimes you need a driver. There you can reuse the driver. One time you will declare here driver, and you can reuse all the places. So that's why the extends keyword you're using in all these places. That's a inheritance concept you are using. What OOPS concept you are using? What Java OOPS concept you are using here? What Java OOPS concept you are using? Inheritance OOPS concept you are using here. See, I'm showing directly here for you Java OOPS concept here. So this also inherits, extends. So this is the how inheritance is used in this your framework. So that I'm explaining one by one where you have used your OOPS concepts in the automation framework. Can you explain me? This is the only structure I have given. Okay, the structure. So I'll just stop here. So this one, let's save this. And so you can also, if you want, you can also save it. Okay.